this new for you?
How are you all doing?
Fantastic.
Great.
Wonderful.
Good.
I really want to start sincerely. Just want to say congratulations. This is your directorial debut, and it's really hard to make a movie, and it's really hard to make a movie that's fucking cool.
Thank you. And I just want to shout out one guy who's not up here is Alex, our DP, who, there he is, because the movie looks as beautiful as it does because of him. So I want to make
Caleb.
sure. Well, Caleb's not. Wait, Caleb doesn't have a chair?
No.
Oh. Hi, Caleb. Our other producer, Caleb.
Okay, I got a ton of questions, and the first few are some curveballs. I'm obsessed with getting more people to get. Hold on, I'm seeing what's going on right now.
Caleb, get up here. I wasn't even on set. You were on set every day. Get up here. It's happening. It's happening.
You should.
Caleb. 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 Caleb.
Rigo's like, fuck, what's going on?
I just assumed he was up here.
Have a seat. No, sit down. I hate everything about this.
Stand behind us where you belong, Caleb.
Oh. So I know we're at landmark theaters, but I'm obsessed with getting more people to see movies in movie theaters. So for each of you, do you have a favorite movie theater? You don't have to say landmark. It could be any theater.
The one closest to my house.
Which is?
South Lamar Draft House in Austin.
Originally, it was the Ken Cinema in Kensington in San Diego, but it recently went, last few years it went out of business. Now it's the Vista, probably.
And I'm an East Side boy, so I'm at Vidiots a lot with my wife. Woo!
Caleb?
No, he just stands there.
No, I just stand
We
here.
brought you up here. You got
I'm going to say the C Film Center in Denver, Colorado, which is a movie theater I worked at for a very long time, and I love it very much.
He still works there. Concessions.
So something that I'm very curious about, Rustic Films, which is the company you guys have, you sell a lot of stuff on the website, but I'm always curious, as I was looking yesterday, how are you sold out of personalized and signed The Endless Blu-rays and also Something in the Dirt posters? How are these sold out?
So it's funny. They're not actually sold out. There's a whole bunch of them. I have them at my house. We mark them as sold out when I don't want to go to the post office. So there's several, and then whenever I feel like, I could probably go to the post office, I'll put however many I have up, and I'll keep them up until the dopamine runs out.
Now, did you guys know all this?
Oh, yeah. I think I came up with that plan. I was like, we cannot be going to the post office that much.
When we started selling merch, that was the first rule. I was like, I don't want to go to the post office if I don't want to. And so if you buy like shirts or whatever, it comes directly. We don't have to touch them, which is nice.
Dave works a lot harder on set than he does selling merch. I just want to say that.
He just doesn't like walking.
I'm so lazy. I don't want to go to the post office. Who likes going to the post office? Not a single person.
I do.
I got a job for you.
I do think that they have those new systems now where you can do like the mail at home, like put the postage on at home. So all you have to do is like just drop it off.
Nope.
So Descendant, the movie Descendant.
Yeah.
No.
But we're getting there. Listen, again, curveballs at the beginning. So now we're getting into actually why you guys are here. So how did this project actually get off the ground? How did it happen?
I had just had a movie fall apart at the beginning of 2020 and wasn't sure what I was going to do. And then COVID hit and I was not in a great place mentally. And this came from that. And I'd always wanted to do an alien abduction story, and the fatherhood framework of it kind of just bled itself into it naturally. And I sent these guys a one-pager, And I knew I wanted to make a Rustic film. You know, I had done Resolution with them as an actor, The Endless. Justin, Aaron, and I had done short films. I mean, we've known each other. I've known Justin for over 20 years, I think. And I knew that I'd be supported. And so I just started sending them stuff, and they said, yeah, this is great. They'd give me notes, and we kept going and kept evolving the story. And then we eventually got it to Caleb, and there's more to it than that, but it's a much longer story.
Then it fell apart, and it came back together. And
And so 5 years later, here we are.
One of the things about Rustic Films, and I commend you guys on, is you make a lot of high concept, cool movies, but like do it on a fraction of a budget, and they're all like cool and unique, and like, how the F do you do it?
So we have a very unique setup in that the three of us are really good at a lot of things, and we don't pay ourselves. So that's the key: is just don't pay yourself. It's not a business model. It's more a hobby that we've fell into, but it's turned into a wonderful company that people can like trust when they go to indie cinema, and that's really cool.
Yeah, but I want to actually dig down a little bit, because it's like, how do you find those scripts and those projects that you know are going to be able to deliver on a movie screen? Because like, if you look at the resume and what you guys have done, there's a lot of really good movies.
Oh man, thank you. I don't even know how to answer that. Just saying thank you.
A big part of it is just you, Dave. Like, you're the one. You're kind of like the great filtration system in the company.
I think it's all three. I think
finding.
it's all three of us. Like, we don't make a movie if all three of us can't get behind it. So for us, it starts there. It's like if all three of us don't say, "Oh, we can definitely do this movie," and I think that between the three of us, like our combined taste, it kind of like filters into really great stories and really great storytellers. And we've been very fortunate that we've had a bunch of directors that have trusted us with their vision and had been able to create awesome movies.
Peter, this is your feature directorial debut, and I'm curious, what was like the big lesson, or some of the big lessons you took away from this experience that you wish maybe someone had told you in advance, maybe stuff you could disseminate to like people that want to do what you just did?
I would say the main thing is be open to being wrong, and to bring people together around. And I mean, I was very fortunate because Dave and the Rustic guys and Caleb have a incredible ability to bring the best people to the team. You know, visually, like I said, Alex, my DP, we were meeting for, I mean, it felt like years.
It was a year and a half.
Yeah, just going through the shot list. And, you know, I come from an acting, writing background, so the visuals, I don't know anything about lenses. I don't know anything about lighting. But that's okay, because I know how something should feel. And the big lesson for me was that's how you communicate to your different departments. So you might not know how they're going to achieve that, but if you tell them, I want this scene to feel like this, then that opens the dialogue, and then they go, okay, I know what to do now. And I learned so much from my different department heads. And so just being willing to listen and to adapt. And if an actor comes to you and says, hey, I don't think the scene is working. We had a blocking issue that ended up being a rewrite of a scene, and it was because the actors were struggling with it, and it was not something that anyone had recognized on the page. And we didn't realize we had an issue until the day. And being an actor, I could actually understand what they were experiencing and the problems they had, and I knew how to pivot and just really being open to the best idea in the room and not having an ego about it, I think is crucial. And then I hope that everybody involved felt like they had agency, and that this movie is ours. It's not mine.
one of the things is that you're doing like alien abduction with fatherhood, and these are both big ideas. Talk a little bit about in the writing process, because I think when you were writing, you knew you were making an indie. So talk a little bit about the writing process and trying to put these things together, knowing I don't have Marvel money. Like I got to make this on a tight budget.
Yeah, well, I mean, taking a page out of their playbook, I remember them telling me, well, what are some locations you can get? And so that house in the desert, that was my buddy's house. And everything else. The school, that's where my kids go. And so I really just I wrote what I knew and the world I knew. And then I think merging the fatherhood anxiety with the alien abduction story, it just sort of naturally found its way because I'm a father, and there's times, I don't know if any of you are parents or expecting, and there are times when you feel like you're losing your mind. And it was also COVID. So I feel like no matter whether you're a parent or not, we all kind of felt like we had lost control. And what do I do to regain control in a world that feels uncontrollable? And so I also have always been fascinated with alien abduction stories, and I wanted to explore what actually goes through your head when you've been abducted. Like what is that like? And it became a giant therapy session essentially. So that's how the two kind of came together.
Did you have any ideas that you really wanted to do and it was in the script for a long time until you finally realized we really don't have the money for this?
No, I think. Sorry, I'll answer this. But I feel like when we all got together with all of the department heads, the nice thing is when you can figure out, it's okay, cool, we're going to be doing this on a budget. You can figure out where you want to put that budget, and it's this is where we spend the money, and this is where we try to scale back and figure out where we can kind of what's the cost effective way to do it. And we had a really great crew. Alex was probably the spearhead of that, of being the abduction scene for us was always where we wanted to really spend the money and make it really pop. And everything else is okay, how can we still make it look good, but maybe do it on a more of an indie budget?
I'm always curious about changes from the initial drafts to what people see on screen. So talk a little bit about your drafts and how they changed and what it was like getting feedback from the guys here as they're reading these drafts. You know what I mean?
Well, I think the biggest changes happened the week before we shot the movie, because I was lucky enough to have a week of rehearsal with Sarah and Ross, and we realized very quickly that the first act was humorless, and it had no levity. Ross's character was just kind of a bummer to begin with, and if that was the case, then nobody was going to be on board with the relationship. We needed to see the levity and the love, and that was those changes. We rewrote a lot of the first act based on our rehearsals. We did improv sessions, and I was sending the actors drafts of scenes, and that scene with Sarah in the bed when she breaks down. And she tells him that she's also afraid, which is one of my favorite scenes in the whole movie. That was something that Sarah was heavily involved in as far as collaborating. Because I didn't feel, I wrote it from the father's perspective, obviously. That's what I know. That's my lens, right? But it's about a relationship, and I felt like if her voice didn't come through strong enough and her struggles didn't come through strong enough, then I'd be missing a huge chunk of this movie. And so I'm really so proud of that scene and Sarah's performance in that, and Ross being completely checked out. I feel like that was a huge contribution that Sarah made.
Actually, I was just curious about the blocking change that caused a rewrite. What scene was it? Can you talk about that?
That was the scene where he has come back from the beach, and the Laurie character confronts him in the house, and Anne Robbins and she's in the bedroom. And originally what happened was he learns that she had fainted and fallen at the top of the scene. And Ross was like, well, if I know that, I'm going to run back there right away. Like, there's nothing preventing me from going back there. And I was like, oh shit, yeah, that doesn't make like. And then it's just like an actor doing the thing because it's written. It doesn't make any sense. So we had to scramble and rework that scene to make it make sense. So that was the scene.
It's so interesting because you talk about the rehearsals and how the rehearsals informed the script and you made changes. I speak to so many people and they talk about how, yeah, we met on set, we started filming, like there were no rehearsals. And to me, as an outsider, those rehearsals seem like you would gain so much knowledge about what you're about to make. Why is it that so many more projects don't do rehearsals when they can be so informative to the final thing that you're trying to make?
Sorry.
I don't know that anybody on this panel has an answer to that.
I mean, we rehearsed Resolution for what, 3 months?
It was 6 months.
Yeah. It seems like the reason why that it's so prevalent, that attitude towards rehearsal, and also it comes to other things of like a fear that you're going to have spend some magic moment before the camera's rolling, which I don't believe it to be true personally, but maybe it could be true in someone's case. But the biggest thing that we probably observed is just that it's we're in an industry where if someone's a lead of your movie, they're probably someone who has a certain amount of fame and they have value as an actor from job to job to job. So their reps are always trying to window the time so that they're spending as little time with you as possible, because so they get to the next job and get paid again. And it's usually, I think it's the culture of that. Yeah. It's just the business side of it.
I think it's exactly that. Yeah.
It's just so interesting because at some point people have to realize, because I've spoken to so many people that talk about the rehearsal process and what they learned, and you even demonstrated how valuable it was on this. I would think that everyone would realize that time is so well spent.
Yeah, because we would have lost days if we hadn't rehearsed, because you don't want to be there on the day figuring this out. You have to have it ironed out. And then, because it's an indie film, we don't have a lot of time. We don't have a huge budget. We got to make our days. I mean, there was one day we did, 8-9 pages, and it's like, we need to be dialed in. And so you deal with that ahead of time, and it's way smoother.
Yeah, and also, the definition of rehearsal can be fluid. People think that rehearsal means necessarily that you've memorized your lines and you are going through each line and trying to see how it sounds coming out of your mouth against another actor. And I think that that's the most valuable version of rehearsal, because they're already in the nitty-gritty. But you can just be having big conversations about your character and about what you're trying to do, and just making sure that you and the character are aligned and trying to present the same story. And that's rehearsal too. That can be a few dinners. That can be, and that's still rehearsing. That's just the idea of that the first time you ever try something on set is going to be the best way to do it. Is it's possible, but it's just less likely, I think.
Webster defines rehearsal as a practice or trial performance of a play or other work for later public performance.
I think what I said stands.
Does it though?
I'm curious, what was something that you fought for that maybe was tough to pull off, but you were adamant, I need this to be in the movie? I don't know if there's an answer to this. I'm just curious.
Can you think of anything?
No, I feel like we were all pretty aligned on like what again
Yeah.
what was important.
And what we can accomplish.
Yeah, and like it and again, we had a phenomenal crew who was all everybody was dialed because this movie fell apart a year before we actually shot it. Most department heads had a whole year to think about this film.
Yeah.
Without knowing that we were going to shoot it again. It was like everybody had kind of like had started prepping it, and then we had to like throw the brakes on it. So I feel like when we came back to it, everybody already had really good ideas, and there wasn't.
Yeah, and also just not be married to certain scenes. I mean, there were scenes that were cut out that I loved, but they just didn't work for the movie in its entirety. And I think that's also a big part of it. You know, you were asking about, you know, advice I could impart on anybody doing this is like, you service the film. It's not about you, or you can't be precious with. And so if it's a bad idea for the film, take it out, you know, and really just, you can't be precious about any of it. And if there are bumps along the road in the film, you gotta pave the way.
I gotta say though, I find you to be a fighter too, and not like stubborn or anything like that. But when you're sure as hell. Like
I think in editorial there were
Yeah.
some things, but I've forgotten about them.
yeah, but it's pretty. But it's a good thing. Is like you're like water. You know, you crash against the rocks or you move around the obstacle. It's great.
I don't know if you're going to answer this or want to answer this, but do you want to share how many days you had to actually pull this off?
20. It was 20, I think, on the dot.
Yeah. 22.
22.
See, good thing Caleb's up here.
Thank God.
So 22, for people that don't realize, that's not a lot of time, but it is there's a lot of movies made nowadays in 25 days. It seems to be that that's just, I've been hearing that from a lot of filmmakers, 25 days. That's what you get to make certain movies. So how scared were you at the beginning of the shoot knowing you had 22 days or 2022? And how much were you sort of like looking at the schedule and you're like, I got this?
For me, I wasn't scared because these guys have been doing it for over a decade, so I knew I was in good hands. I was overjoyed and so fucking relieved that I actually got to make a movie. Like that's where I was driving to set. I was not worried about the days or any of it. I was just like, it's so hard, and I didn't think it was going to happen. And for it to actually happen, I was just like, I'm going to ride this, and I'm going to not take any moment for granted.
It should be like the first day of shooting. I don't know if anybody remembers the start of last year when we had the torrential downpour that like happened at the top of 2024. That was our day one of shooting, and we were on the beach. So our day one of shooting was in the middle of the atmospheric river that came over Los Angeles, and that was the start. That was us restarting after a year's hiatus.
It's worth.
Yeah, you don't get to talk, Caleb. Just look pretty. Just look pretty.
It's worth. There we go. It's worth noting that that's how we got the Santa Monica Pier for free, was because no one wanted to be there. It was incredible, like how it all worked out, because it was absolutely pissing rain for nonstop, and I was like, "Well, we'll be fine. It'll stop eventually." And then it rained for 8 days, which famously Los Angeles known for its rain. So that was great for an LA movie.
I'm curious for you guys. In the past few years, you've done a lot for a little. What were some of like the big lessons, like the DIY lessons you've learned that really, you know what I mean, that like you can sort of pass on? Because I don't know how you do what you do to you know what I mean? And I'm just curious if there's any lessons you guys learned, anything you can impart.
I'll give one that's not very heady and inspirational. It's just very, very practical. It's like, if you're an aspiring filmmaker, just learn After Effects. It's going to help you so much. We were able to do they bought me a computer so I could do the VFX on this. That was how the VFX got done. And it's just so valuable to be able to expand your toolkit. I know it's not like inspiring, but it is definitely the number one like skill that hangs out. Because whether or not we're doing our own visual effects or something like that, and this isn't a VFX movie at all. This is not a okay.
You have to hold it with your right hand, but only the front three fingers.
Hold
Well, I think
like a juice box.
We
or
might
something.
have. Do we have another mic or we don't?
Yeah.
We might
no.
swap out a mic.
No,
I'll
let him
keep
figure
working
it
on
out.
I'll keep working on it.
He figured out After Effects. He can figure out the microphone.
But anyways, even if you're not doing your own visual effects, it just helps you think that way, and it helps you kind of just like figure out the way that makes sense, that you can kind of like you can talk the talk with a visual effects artist at the very least. Like that's something we definitely do a lot, is that it's like, oh, we understand what's going to be $100,000 shot and a $5,000 shot and a free shot. And it makes a huge difference. And so you just don't write $100,000 shots. And there's no quality difference between them. It's just a comparison of ideas.
I've also spoken to a number of. We did a Q&A actually in here for Godzilla -1, and I don't remember the director's name. I can't pronounce it right now, but he was talking about how he did VFX and Gareth did VFX, and like all these different filmmakers are doing some of their own VFX. It's just a revolution what you can accomplish at home now.
Yeah, I completely agree. And same thing with the Everything Everywhere guys. That was a 7-person team. Did they win the Oscar? Get nominated for an Oscar? But
I think they won.
Yeah, it's just like a tiny team of young YouTuber, basically. It's crazy. And it's not. It doesn't mean that VFX are like you should make VFX movies. That's not it. It just like programs your brain to make the right choices around visual effects.
Also, I've heard, and correct me if I'm wrong, but a lot of times the reason VFX get expensive is because a director will change their mind in the middle of the shot. And that one of the reasons why those Godzilla recent movies is that they go in and they know exactly what these sequences are going to be, so they're not refixing them. And that's one of the reasons their costs can be a little bit lower. Correct me if I'm wrong.
No, but also it's like beyond that. It's there's also a way to shoot it in which it won't, like if you don't have to go into like 3D and you can just do a 2D comp, like that is cheaper than having to build a full 3D model. So how you shoot the shot that will eventually become 3D or that will eventually become a VFX shot also contributes into that. And I think that's what Aaron was saying.
So how did you decide on the title, and was it almost something else?
It was almost so many other things.
So
How'd you decide on that, Pete?
Well, it was originally Josiah Road, which was going to be the street instead of Astor Road. And then we went through a bunch of different things, and then one night I was up late. And
Wait, why did it change? Be specific.
because Josiah sounded too religious, they said. I don't know.
Good answer.
I mean, yeah, and I was like, oh, okay. I didn't want it to feel like too sci-fi. I wanted it to feel, I don't know. It was random. And I think titles are the hardest thing. And then I was just, searching a bunch of different titles and brainstorming some different ideas. And then I came across the spelling of Descendant as the adjective rather than the noun. And to me, that is when it kind of clicked in, because it's all about his downward spiral and his need to come back down to earth, and also it's about your descendants and the things you pass on to your children, and that fear that you are going to pass on something terrible, and that's the fear that he has that drives it. So I felt like it worked on multiple levels, and so that's where we landed.
What cameras did you end up using and why?
Alex?
Let Alex answer that.
Alex?
Do you have 40 minutes?
Oh, please. He was in COVID and trying to test every fucking camera that exists. Where did you end up, Alex?
Alexa 35.
There you go. Alexa 35. From Old Fast Glass. It's Alexa 35, it's good, says Alex Chinichi
And
without an
I
H.
have one more thing. A lot of people change the lenses based on the camera, and sometimes people are using lenses that, obviously you're far smarter than me. I'm going to stop talking about lenses, but what lenses did you actually decide to use and why?
Canon rangefinder lenses, they're old, and they look pretty. And actually, Aaron recommended we had a debate about going with something a little sharper, and we decided to do something a little softer because it's a story about the people, the humans, and so we wanted to go that way. And that's kind of, they look nice. And this is such a longer answer to that, but
They look pretty.
Yeah, but a lot of times people will use like these modern cameras, and then they'll use these crazy old lenses, and it's amazing. And I don't think people realize it's everything in the movie. You know, the lens you choose is everything.
Yeah, we got really lucky because Alex just happened to have a whole bunch of free time before we shot this movie. And so he literally, I think, tested every lens that Old Fast Glass had in its inventory. And he was like, this is what we're going to use. And we're like, I don't have enough information to debate you, nor do I really want to, because you seem very convinced. And so we just did it.
I'll ask something that will move to the for you guys to answer. I'm obsessed with the editing process. It's where it all comes together. So let's talk a little bit about you get in the editing room after you've shot. Are you ready to jump out a window, or were you like, oh, we got it?
At moments, yes. So our editor, Jordan Goldstein, the first cut he turned in was great. The assembly was like, oh, this is a movie, right? And so then we talked about it with the guys, and they're like, you guys need to make this way weirder. And so we're like, okay. And it, like the deer eye, that was Justin. So it's in the script. It's the story of the deer, and Justin, and because we got a note during this process, because we sent out screener to some filmmakers to get feedback, which was also a difficult process. And there was a note, because in the script, I had just put in, they have black eyes, because it was just like, it was like a placeholder. I know it's a trope. I just didn't have a better idea at the time. And I was hoping I'd come up with something better. And then we got this note that we shouldn't do the black eye. And so that's how that happened, where I was like, oh, well, let's use this deer eye. And now it's on the poster. And it became, like this visual motif throughout the film. And it's one of my favorite things in the entire film. So that was like a huge discovery in post. And so it ended up being a great process, but it is really hard, because there are so many times where you're just like, I can't believe I just made this, and I don't know what I'm doing anymore. And it's very depressing. And then, it's just peaks and valleys, and you're just not sure how it's going to turn out. But yeah, you find these wonderful things along the way.
Talk a little bit about how it possibly changed, besides this. How did it possibly change in the edit, or was it pretty much what you imagined it was going to be?
We reworked the third act quite a bit, because we realized that the father-son story was the most important piece of that at the end. And there was a scene that was cut between Sean and Aunt Robin, like a confrontation during his kind of surreal trip to the house in the desert, and then the live birth, when they have the eyes, that was all part of the same sequence. And the father-son thing was at a different point in the sequence, and we got the note back that I don't think these scenes are servicing the story, and then it was just like, okay, we gotta rework that. So that was kind of a big shift in from script to what you see up here. Is that third act is definitely a lot different, but I'm happy with it. I'm happy, like, I love that scene between me and Ross. Like, I loved filming it, And I think
You didn't when we filmed it. You were so cold.
I was very cold.
You were just complaining about how cold you were.
It was very cold. It was Landers, California in February. It's very cold. It's windy. And there was a party going on too. There's a VFW and so they were partying pretty hard.
One of the things about the film is you have to decide where and when you want to release information about what could or could not be happening. So what was that like in terms of in the scripting phase? In the scripting phase and in the edit?
God, I'm trying to think back.
I'm forcing you to think.
No, I know.
I don't think it changed from script to edit.
Yeah.
How we devolved information was pretty consistent to what the script was.
Yeah. I agree.
But
I want to know more about this VFW party. Did you consider just leaning into it, be like, where this whole scene has a party next door now? We're gonna do it with with veterans of foreign wars.
We got it in right before it got really loud, and then everything else was MOS inside, so we were okay. Right, but there was definitely a ticking clock, and also we had to get Ross to the airport that night, so we had no time. And Alex was incredible because he had all the shots planned out, and we moved through it really fast.
What is it like for you guys in the edit? How often are you watching cuts? How much do you want to give feedback? Talk a little bit about what it's like as quote unquote producers in the edit.
I mean, if we are not ourselves on, sometimes we'll be on jobs where it's just like literally we almost go to day 100. And during those times, we just are basically absent partners at this company, and Dave does everything, and then we take the credit on days like this. But this was one where we definitely, luckily, we had finished season 1 of Daredevil just in time to get back to participate in the edit a bit. But at the same time, it feels weird even wasting everyone's time us talking about it, because Aaron and I did very little in this movie. It's all Peter
That's
and
false.
Dave and
That's
Caleb.
false. That's false. Aaron did a whole bunch of VFX shots in this movie.
That is true. I didn't do anything. I shouldn't say anything.
Yeah, I think we watched something like 3 or 4 cuts of the movie, but I'm sure there were probably a dozen, and we prefer to take a lot of time down between. Genuinely prefer to take time down between cuts, so that we're not just getting caught up in minutia and the best thing we can offer is fresh eyes. Does that make sense?
I will say that's one of the bonuses to Aaron being VFX and Justin being a fucking brilliant writer, Aaron also being a great writer, is that the three of us can not read drafts or watch cuts of things and trust someone else in the group to have kind of a collective opinion for all of us, so that when we go back, we can be like, oh, wow, that really worked. Whatever. I don't know what it was that you just did, but whatever it was, it really works now, or it doesn't work, and here's why. And so that's really nice to not have to watch every single. I don't know how many people here have made a film, but when you get to a certain point, you've watched the movie 100 times, and you're just like, I honestly don't even know what I'm watching anymore. And you're just like, sure, it's great. I don't care. But not really. But it's you're like, I don't know anymore if it's good or not.
Actually, raise your hand if you're a filmmaker and you've felt that before. All right, round of applause.
Yeah. I've spoken to some directors who've talked about how they have almost cut out some of the funniest jokes because they no longer think it's funny. Yeah. And because they've seen it 1,000 times. It's crazy. Which shot or sequence in the film was the toughest to get, and why?
Hi.
Oh, hey, guys, Caleb's back.
Cool. I would say I do want to highlight Pete's performance at the end, which I think is incredible.
Brilliant directing.
Dave directed. That's why he's saying that. No, I do want to highlight that scene because, yes, there were a lot of external elements that were sort of filtering in, but that is such a crucial moment that if you don't land, the whole movie falls apart. And I think it's absolutely nailed between Ross and Pete. And I think it solidifies sort of what's at the heart of the story. That was tough because of time, elements, crew, timing with the crew, trying not to time things out, but getting that in and having the time that we had to pull that off. I'm very proud of that sequence. It's so funny because it is the least amount of VFX. It is not, there's no big scary monster, there's no big sting, but it nails me every time I watch it still. And I was there and I was absolutely like bawling my eyes out watching that. And I'm still incredibly proud of it to this day. So I think that's one.
Actually, I have a question for Pete. I'm curious. Acting in scenes, you're the director of the movie. Do you find that easier or harder? And I'm asking you because I think for Aaron and I, when we are acting in stuff that we're directing, it's easier because you just kind of know everything as the performer.
Yes and no, because of everything Caleb just said. Like, I was freezing, and I knew we didn't have a lot of time, and I knew I needed to get it right. And I just felt a lot more pressure because also that was my one scene. I mean, except for me dead on the slab, that was really my one scene. So I think I had built it up, and it was the last day of shooting. So I think I had built it up a little bit in my head, and I haven't done a lot of acting since. I mean, it's been a minute since I've been in front of the camera. So I think I felt like I had something to prove. So I think it was a little tricky for me. But I had a wonderful director, helping me through this.
I will say, like,
behind
so
the camera.
Obviously we have a long history together. Pete was in the first movie that the three of us ever made together, called Resolution back in 2011. We shot that. And I remember like specifically, I don't know if I told you or if I told Caleb, but like I left that scene and I was like, I forgot how fun and fucking glorious it is to watch Pete act. Because you're so good, and I'm so happy that you've like made this transition. But it's really fun to get to watch you, and I like go back to like the first time I ever made a movie, and it's you and Vinny, and that's like most of my memory, and it's such like an amazing memory of mine, and to get to like be part of that again was great.
And it's worth noting he said that after the first take, actually. I remember that specifically. You said that after the first take.
I did. And it's just I loved when you acted in Resolution, and I loved watching you do it again. And I hope that you get to direct a whole bunch more movies, and I hope that you also act and stuff because it's fun.
Thank you.
You know what's really interesting that I just realized is in 2011 on Resolution, you were also cold all the time. All the time. Complain about it constantly.
Maybe
I
just
remember that. I actually specifically remember the cold. Yeah. So you're nervous. You've got a scene coming up. You've got to clinch the movie, and you hear Katy Perry's Fireworks playing louder and louder at the Veterans of Foreign Wars party, and it's like an oncoming train. And you're like, this is going to get too loud for dialogue. It's coming. I mean, and then it switches up to Daft Punk, and you're just freaking out.
That just gets me pumped up.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah. So that's actually what saved the scene.
Yeah, just ride that.
This is something where if you guys don't film or record, that'd be awesome. I want to talk a little bit about the ending, if you guys don't mind. So I'm not sure if you guys caught this, but there's a line near the end in a car where someone where someone tells Sean, "Re-entry is no joke." How much did you debate that line? And what would you like to say about it?
I mean, we've got a whole backstory for that truck driver. And I actually have a whole short story about that truck driver and their life.
There's a whole script about that.
Yeah.
Wait, actually, hang on. Yeah, that was a huge difference from one script to another.
Yeah. So, I just forget. It's been 5 years of process. I forget things. So that was a much more expository scene. And, when you're writing to sell the script or to get somebody to write a check to get your movie made, you do tend to share more on the page to explain these things. And then when you're actually shooting the film, you realize, no, I need to pull back. So that was the interesting thing about the draft process, is because there's always a draft that you send to the powers that be that
The suits.
that's way overwritten. And you do that to just communicate clearly what's happening, knowing, but I didn't know because this was my first film that I directed. So that you're going to pull all of that stuff back, and then it'll continue to pull back that information. Some may say the ending is ambiguous, but that was intentional. But you keep pulling stuff back, and so there was a lot more information, a lot more dialogue between the truck driver and Sean at the end. We had no time to actually film that because it was like driving from the school to his house, as the sun was coming up. And I think at a certain point, Sean gets out of the car and has to barf. And there's just it's like 2 pages of dialogue and just basically wrapping up and explaining what happened. And so we went back and forth in the edit process, and that was ADR actually, figuring out what are the key lines that we need to communicate what actually happened to him. So that was how that came to be.
How much did you debate the ending itself and what you wanted the audience to feel and think as they were walking out? And how much did you know what I mean? Because that line is a lot, that's a line.
Right. I mean, the ending was always him ending up in bed with her and his hand on her stomach. Because, the whole point of it is, he's expecting this child and he feels like he needs to earn more money. He needs to be a better father. There's all this pressure on him when really he just needs to show up. That's the point of the movie. That's it. You just show up no matter what. And so there was always that. And then with the drawings on the wall, that was a note I got where someone said, well, what if, when you pull back, you have all the drawings on the wall? And I was like, well, what would that mean if the drawings were on the wall? And I'm just going to leave that up to you guys to... if you want to know...
There's an answer.
There is, but everybody has their own...
Yeah, it's better if you let them debate it for themselves.
Yeah, what does that mean?
You can tell me when they're not listening. Sorry. No,
But I will say that there's some keys, the Hawaiian shirt is significant. He's wearing his same outfit. So
yeah, listen, when you rewatch it, which hopefully you should do when it's in theaters on the 8th or on digital on the 15th of August. Am I wrong about this?
Nope, you're spot on. Thank you.
Just saying when you rewatch it, because maybe I rewatched the third act, you can pick up on some things.
Yeah.
The information is there.
It is there.
Can you figure it out?
We're almost done, but I wasn't joking at the beginning when I said you guys are obviously what else is coming up at Rustic Films?
Dave?
We have 2 more movies coming out this year. We were really fortunate. We premiered 3 movies this year. Descendant was one. Touch Me premiered at Sundance. Man Finds Tape premiered at Tribeca. Both of them have distribution that will be announced soon. And then we've got a lot of other stuff that we're not going to mention.
Do you have things that are going to be filming this year?
Yeah.
You're just not announcing yet.
We don't. It's like real G's moving silence, like lasagna.
Oh my God!
I believe that was Lil Wayne that said that.
You can cut his mic at any time.
I can't cut his mic at any time. Yeah, he has control of his mic. What are you actually? I'm curious for you. You obviously did a great job with this as your debut. Have you written other scripts? Are you thinking?
Yeah, I have a crime comedy set in the rural South against the world of the illegal reptile trade, with an imaginary friend character. It is tonally, it's a stark departure. I was in a bad place when I wrote this, and then I got in a good place, and so
go back to the bad place.
No, I thought you liked the script.
I've read it. It's my only note was that it's just exactly the Shawshank Redemption again.
I'm from South Carolina, and there's a lot of weirdness and great stories out of there, and it's very much inspired by my love for Danny McBride, everything he does, and Coen Brothers movies, and I like the weird, I like things that feel normal on the surface, and then there's something off, and so that's the next thing I'd like to get going. So it's out. I've been taking meetings. We'll see what happens.
I was going to say, I think for all of us and for all of you guys, we've all seen like 10,000 movies. And one of the things that I really dug about this is I really didn't know what the next scene was going to be. And I think that's what's refreshing about and just showing what you guys can do for not a lot of money, and that's the swings that I like. And I wasn't lying when I said my favorite episodes of Daredevil Born Again season 1 were the ones you guys did. And I'm being honest. And
Thank you.
So I know you wrapped on season 2, but what was it like actually having the keys for the whole season? And how does that sort of, what do you want to tease people about season 2?
Oh man, I don't think we can talk about it. I don't know. They kill us.
Just talk without saying too much.
Justin, what you got?
No, I think I got it. If you liked their episodes of season 1, tune in for season 2.
Oh, that is crazy.
I didn't sign an NDA. I could say anything. That's what I said.
No, I'm not going to.
I have tons of answers, but
No,
I'm also not going to say that.
I'm really not trying to get you guys in trouble. Like, sincerely. Like, I'm really looking forward to what you got. Like, your episodes were fucking good in season 1.
That apartment fight with Punisher was maybe one of my favorite things. By the way, I will say this because I get to say this as a friend of theirs and somebody who's worked with them for years. The Marvel stuff is one of the only times I get to watch their stuff as a pure, as like a pure consumer. And I fucking loved that season. And that scene particularly is like maybe one of my favorite things that they've ever done. And I'm mad I wasn't a part of it, but I'm fine with it because it's so fucking good.
Yeah. Sorry.
Oh yeah. I mean, you know what? Will you take heartfelt sincerity in the place of anything that might get us sued? Yes. Genuinely, that show for us, Daredevil, that we just finished season 2. We did a lot of season 1, and there's this really interesting thing where like you go out into the industry at large from doing these indie films that your currency is being bold and doing something different. But when you go into the world at large, you have to find a middle ground. you have to meet your audience, meet a different audience halfway, and all that stuff. But to get to do a show as cool as this, given that, it's so grateful for it. And it brings me to, we love the show, and we wish we could say so much about it. And we also realize that it's probably, especially right now, one of the cooler things that we could be a part of that's at that scope. And we that's one of the many things we love about it.
Yeah, I won't pressure you anymore. I will just say I'm really looking forward to seeing what you guys are going to do. Enjoy your year of post or whatever it's going to be. And I'm just going to say for everyone who enjoyed this film, if you're on social media, please spread the word and let people know about it because it could use your support. Gentlemen, I'm just going to say thank you for making a fucking cool movie, and I wish you guys nothing but the best.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
And want to thank you so much for your support and your friendship and also, as he said, like independent films, they got it really rough right now. Like it's really rough. You guys are helping us win the war by showing up in theaters, and it's really, really cool. And thank you. And if we can ask you for one more favor, guys, I promise you, your one tweet, your one post, your one whatever, it really matters. Letterboxd reviews, like these things, they like indie films in particular live and die on these now more than ever. Please help us out. If you liked the movie, if you didn't, stay dead silent. Thank you.
Thank you all, and have a fantastic night.
Thank you.